Yes. Assalamu alaikum everybody. Welcome to class 13 for the Love of Allah classes streamed on the MSA Cape YouTube channel. Nurani will give us a quick boost of spirituality this afternoon, inshallah. So without any further ado, let's go straight into it. Bismillah, Sister Nurani.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. So apologies for being late. So today's class, inshallah, it will be relatively quick. So yeah, I'm just trying to get that out a bit. So it will be relatively quick. But I hope that it will be impactful, inshallah. So it's a continuation of last week's lesson, which was speaking about who Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is. So it's just a quick recap of that, but very quickly how we can also maintain our remembrance of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it's exactly connected yet, but okay. So inshallah, very quickly today I will go through 3 points, and that is the prophetic light that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, and then also understanding La ilaha illallah, and then lastly, how do we go about connecting with the light of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So one of my favorite names that they used to call Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Nur ala Nur. I think it also because it reminds me of my own name because it's so Nur in it. But not just that, there's just so many positive attributes when you think about light. Light can be a sense of guiding, can be a sense of warmth, comfort. There's just so many positive attributes towards when you think about light. So, as you know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is the light of Islam, right? And when Allah chose him as the final prophet to seal Islam, he was chosen with a very specific purpose, and that was his goal was to foster and inspire unity and peace and wisdom amongst us. And this is what you find when you follow the Sunnah and when you start reading up on the Sunnah and all of those things. That's when you start seeing that the Sunnah actually encourages unity. It encourages peaceful relations. It does not encourage anarchy and conflict. It's totally the opposite. It's all about peace, serenity, and how can we maintain good relations with each other, especially as Muslims, building a brotherhood and a sisterhood. So when we follow the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I think it's very important to understand that we're not following him, not idolizing him. He is only but a means for us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, I love those who follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the easiest way for us to develop a relationship with Allah to love is by following the Sunnah, right? Allah did not place so much emphasis on a human being the way he did with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we should ask ourselves why. Why? Is because he was perfect and he possessed all of the qualities we should aspire to have. So the difference between idolizing Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a human being, we are actually striving to have those characters that Allah instilled in him. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a reflection of Allah's attributes in human form, right? And what better way for us to be better Muslims, to be better brothers and sisters, by emanating those qualities, which is why we should try our best to follow the Sunnah, even if it's one Sunnah at a time. And like I said, Allah loves those who follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And by doing so, we are taking that one step, 2 steps closer towards receiving Allah's love. And we're cleansing and purifying our hearts by doing so, which I think is very important. So understanding La ilaha illallah, like I think 2 classes ago, we briefly touched on the Shahada, and La ilaha illallah is the most powerful sacred phase in Islam. It's the first part of our Shahada. And by acknowledging La ilaha illallah, we are taking an oath to say that we are acknowledging and testifying that Allah is singular. There's no one that can be compared to Allah, and nothing ever will. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the second part of the Shahada, is the final messenger of Islam. So in Surah Al-An'am, that's the 6th Surah, the 73rd verse, Allah says, He is the one who created the heavens and the earth in truth. On the day of judgment, He will say, Allah will say, be and there will be. His command is truth. So everything Allah does is through truth. And all authority is by Allah alone. And when the trumpets are blown on the day, and we realize that the time has come and we're going to have to get ready to stand before our Creator, and hopefully, inshallah, all of us receive our books in our right hand, not our left, inshallah. And Allah says those words that we all desire to hear. My believer, I am pleased with you. Inshallah, may we all hear those words one day. Part of this ayah explains why La ilaha illallah is so important. Because when we are taking our shahada, when we are saying La ilaha illallah, whether it be in dhikr, whether it be just to praise Allah, we are reaffirming our covenant that Allah is the one true God, and that everything that is done on this dunya is by the will of Allah and Allah alone. Right? Yes, we have free will, but ultimately Allah is in charge of our free will. People sometimes get that confused, right? So Allah is in charge of all of our affairs, but Allah gave us free will to see what are we going to do. Are we going to use it as a means to take a step further away from Allah, or to take a step closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Inshallah, hopefully it's not one where we create distance. It's one where we rush to fill that gap, to fill that void. Because when we don't have Allah in our lives, we really do feel empty. And feeling spiritually empty is probably one of the worst feelings you can feel, because you feel like you don't have purpose. And as Muslims, we all have a purpose, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, connecting with the light of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we said, he is Nur al-Nur, the light of light, and he was more than just a messenger. He carried the message through life. And every sunnah that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he uttered, that he explained, it all had a wisdom behind it. And as we established, is that every sunnah, it doesn't encourage conflict, it doesn't encourage vulgarity, it doesn't encourage all of that. It encourages peaceful relations, because Islam is a peaceful religion, contrary to what Westerners think Islam is. We are not barbaric. We are a very peaceful nation, very peaceful people. And when we are following the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we are only creating peace within ourselves. No one wants to feel unsettled. We want to feel content, right? And I wouldn't want to feel frustrated within myself, knowing that I'm irritated or whatever the case may be. I would love to feel content. And the ways in which we can go about feeling content is by following the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in various ways, we can do it through dhikr, we can do it in mawlud, we can do it. There's so many ways you can do it. But the thing is, how sincere are we when we are saying La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, or Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad? How sincere are we when we are saying that? Because when you are saying it, Allah is rewarding you for those utterances. But just by uttering it as is, you don't want to just say it as an autopilot. You want to make sure that you are saying it out of a place of love. Because I don't think anyone will be able to love the way Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved, and encourage us to follow in those footsteps. Okay, so I actually have reached the end of the slide, but just lastly, before we break for the word, I do want to encourage everyone in the JK and those online, is that a lot of people might have negative connotations to dhikr and saying Mawlud, you're not supposed to have Mawlud. If you go to Mawlud, it's nice. It's very nice. It's very spiritually uplifting. And we are still in the birth month of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I know we all have busy schedules. So if we can maybe take a few minutes of our time in our busy day to just contemplate and reflect on the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whether it means making dhikr in his name, praising him, making dua for him and the Ahlul Bayt. Those are ways in which we can get closer to being guided by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life. If you read up, which I would also encourage you to do, is to read up on the descendants of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the scholars that has direct lineage to the Prophet. You'd be so inspired by their character. And I asked myself as I was reading up on them, if I'm so inspired by their character, what was the character like of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who taught them this? Through his family, he taught it to his daughters, to Ali, Allah be pleased with him, and then it just passed on and passed on and passed on. Now just imagine if they were potent in their own respect, how potent wasn't the character of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we had to stand in front of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam now, would we be ashamed of ourselves? Would we be pleased that we are standing in front of him? What would we do if he asked us a question? what would we do? I don't know what I would do. I think I'll just be starstruck. But these are some of the questions. It might sound crazy. These are some of the questions that can help guide you in your character. To think, what would the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam think of me if I acted this way? And would he approve of what I'm doing? Does this go against what he encourages us to do? Because when you follow the sunnah of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what you find is that you are creating habits of peace in your life. We all have our own stresses, campus, family, relationships. I don't know. We all have it. And I don't think anyone deserves to be overcome with feelings of frustration and agitation, and we just feel unsettled. Everyone wants their soul to be at peace. And in order for our soul to be at peace, there are steps that we can take. And the sunnah is there. I keep saying this, that the sunnah should be our primary reality. The sunnah is not to be ignored. It complements what the Quran teaches us. So if you incorporate the two, you can actually live a very well-balanced life. Not saying you're not going to run into issues. You're going to run into difficulty. Everyone runs into difficulty. Even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was tested. But this will also change our outlook on how we are being tested. We won't view it as a burden. We would view it as, okay, Allah's testing me in such a way that it's maybe one step closer towards finding Allah. People find Allah in various ways and forms. Some people find Allah's love, or like they get like their light bulb moment in the middle of doing something clearly haram. So don't underestimate when or how you will get your light bulb moment if you haven't got it already. But just trust that the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there to serve as a reminder to us, as a guideline to us. Obviously, we won't be able to measure up to him perfectly, but it's something that we can aspire towards. I know I had to give a quick injection of this lesson because I ran late, but it is 1 o'clock now, and it is good. So shukran everyone for coming and for listening, inshallah. Shukran very much.
Sure.